Japanese planners oriented Osaka Expo 70 around the hope for a more peaceful and cooperative tomorrow. The World's Fair was a huge deal, as Japan spent nearly $2 billion US, about $15.5 billion in 2023, on-site development, transportation, and the Japanese pavilion. The expo was wildly popular, drawing in over 64 million visitors, about 2 million of them foreigners, and making a profit. Japan's various public and private pavilions presented visions of space-age futures in order to demonstrate the nation as a great technological power. Japan's concoction of science, diplomacy, and soft power allowed it to demonstrate its hard power potential despite not having offensive forces. Looking towards the future, Panasonic Corporation and the Mancini newspapers buried a technologically impressive time capsule for the people of the year 3970 CE at the Expo. This time capsule was 10 times the size of the one at the 1964 and 65 World's Fair, and much larger than the previous New York time capsule, destined for 1639 CE. The time capsule was also a sign of Japan's improving technology sector, for Japanese scientists guaranteed that the recorded tapes placed inside would last over 5,000 years. Items of note among the 2,098 objects among 689 groups include an atomic timepiece and tape recordings of famous speeches. The time capsule at Osaka Expo 70 is especially interesting because it came during the nuclear age. In a world seemingly on the brink of nuclear warfare, burying a time capsule signified a peace-minded hope for humanity to last 5,000 years. The capsule also included the 1970 Rosetta Stone engraved in Japanese and the 5 official languages of the United Nations. The 5 languages of the United Nations are Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. The project's multilingualism transformed this Japanese effort into an international one. President of the Mancini newspapers, Umejima Tadashi, wrote his fears in his personal message to the people of the year 6970, quote, "The age we live in is sometimes referred to as the age of nuclear energy or the age of space travel, but in fact we are merely on the threshold of major developments in these fields. We are still investigating the potential of nuclear energy and making our first exploratory journeys into space," end quote. The uncertainty that came with these technologies contrasted with the hopes of 5,000 more years for humanity. Nevertheless, they hoped. The time capsule included 2 compositions from Japanese youth who grew up with no experience of the war, only historical memories. Science and space travel excited the youth's vision for the future. Rin Masayuki, a 4th grader from Tokyo, wrote excitedly about Apollo 11. Quote, "In December 1968, 3 Americans circled the moon for the first time and came back on Earth. Everybody was surprised and happy. There was great excitement. You're surprised and saying, how childish, aren't you? I believe there will be space cities and undersea cities in your age," end quote. The space race captivated minds because it would seemingly bring progress and harmony for mankind. Dreams of an interstellar future also constellated the mind of Harima Hideki, an Osaka 1st grader, quote, "Man will be able to live on Mars by sending man-made oxygen and water to the planet, and on Venus by blowing away carbon dioxide and heat to outer space with a gigantic fan. And nobody will be surprised at having a tropical holiday on Mercury or going skiing and skating on Pluto," end quote. The imagined future was also full of leisure, further evidence of Japan's growing middle classes. The hope that technology could save us was prevalent during this time period because technology was the cause of human fears. American correspondent of Osaka Expo 70, Angus Hone, reported on how the World's Fair, quote, "brought the hidden Japanese from the backwards islands to an exhibition of Japanese technology, to an international propaganda war between the United States and the USSR," end quote. Japan was also involved in this international propaganda war that focused around space and technology. For instance, the Mitsui Group companies sponsored the Creative Paradise-themed pavilion, which contained a journey out of space and into the world of creation. The Mitsui space fiction exposure was a hit, as Hone called this leading Japanese pavilion particularly good. After guests took an escalator into the dome, this spaceflight simulator contained 240 slowly rising and falling seats that gave, quote, "the the visitor the illusion of traveling through space. One of the highlights of the trip was the view of the Earth as if from a space shuttle." End quote. After 6 minutes, the visitors were back on Earth. Space-themed attractions like this one connected Japanese people to spaceflight in a visceral manner. Japan used the attractions not only to show off its space technology, but it simultaneously debuted impressive projectors, special effects, electronics equipment, and nearly 1,700 speakers. Japan used space and science fiction to display actual Earth-level technologies and, by extension, the potential of Japan's military, even though its powers were only defensive. Similar displays of Japan's space future and technological hard power were inside the Mitsubishi and Japanese Telecommunications Pavilion. The former hosted a special effect that allows visitors to look down on Earth, while the latter connected Japan to the rest of the world with satellite telecommunications. The Telecommunications Pavilion live-streamed images of Tokyo, Kyoto, and Tanegashima for the fair's entire duration, 183 days. Space technologies became not only something of a sci-fi dream, but they also promised practical benefits for Japanese consumers. The Mitsubishi Futures Pavilion featured a walkthrough attraction that included similar visions of a space-age future. Their pamphlet highlighted the various aspects of their moving walkway attraction. Translated from Japanese. Seen from the space station, the soundless and mysterious blue planet. In the second room and chamber, the transparent blue wrapped outer space expands. While watching the Earth gently rotate, you can go to the Space Station World Meteorological Control Center and Intelligence Bureau Dome. Meteorological map of the world. The changes in weather conditions in various locations are announced in their national languages, every country's language. Suddenly, the red light on the computer starts to blink violently. It implies the approach of an extra-large typhoon to Japan. In the next Administration Bureau Dome, you can see the actions of the Weather Control Rocket Corps, which is to control and suppress typhoons. End quote. Translated from Japanese. Vision space technology in the Mitsubishi Pavilion acted as defense against natural forces like typhoons. Space would be a place for Japanese defense capabilities, but in the spirit of progress and harmony for mankind, Mitsubishi planners obviously did not name an international enemy, only a natural one. The Mitsubishi exhibit's capacity to simulate a future in space, in conjunction with the Telecommunications Pavilion's actual use of space technology, was a show of soft power. The ability to display technology was evidence of Japan turning the corner. Japan relied on international events like Osaka Expo 70 to exhibit its technological soft power because the nation had no ability to showcase any offensive capabilities. Japan had little desire to proliferate nuclear weapons, so they exhibited their involvement in the space race. Japan entered the space race around the time of the fair, using space as a place to conduct paramilitary operations. Spaceflight is a paramilitary operation. War in this nuclear age became war of technology, where space technology was at the cutting edge of combat. This combat especially took place in the imagination, with competing visions of a future in space. Osaka Expo 70 is useful towards understanding Japanese defense options in the 1970s because it symbolized their non-alignment within the Cold War. This phoenix continued to rise not with flames, but with jet propulsion. I'm Historical Method Man, and thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing.